Hello, everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time tuning in, my name is Adrielle, and I am currently narrating a story of my life dating back from January 2016. In the previous episode, I talked about the month of June, how I was approved for rental assistance. Yes, I was approved for rental assistance, and talked about the craziness of my neighbors, and I no longer was hearing noises or anything coming from their apartment. And I started getting nervous. Well, started getting nervous in the month of July, and I'm going to talk about that in this episode. So here it goes. So it's the month of July, and I am just hoping and praying that July was the month that I would get out of the wilderness. July was the month that I would um, get a job. Something I did forget to mention back in May, and I'm gonna quickly talk about that right now. Something I did forget to mention where was that there would be times where I would just think about my life, and I'm like, this is a movie. Like my life right now is a movie. It's all over the place. It doesn't make sense. It feels like a Lifetime movie or a Tyler Perry movie, right? I was thinking about that in my head. So there was one evening where I was in bed and I was just thinking about, my testimony because I know God is going to want me to testify at the end of the wilderness or at the end of all of this. And when He brings me and Brandon together, He's going to want me to testify. I was like, this story is long. Now, at that time, I was saying to myself that my story starts as far back as 2018, but really starts as far back as 2016. So I was saying, yeah, my story starts from 2018. That's 3 years. If I testify. I can't testify in church because who's going to give me the mic to talk about a 3 year story? Like, that's a long story. No pastor's going to give me the mic to talk about a long story during church service, right? So I'm like, how am I going to testify? The next thing you know, YouTube dropped in my head. I'm like, nope, mm-mm. I am not going on YouTube. I am not going on YouTube to testify about my story. I am not going to create a YouTube channel. No. God is going to have to find some other way for me to testify. I didn't want to create a YouTube channel because I didn't want to show my face. I'm an introvert. I'm very shy. I'm very reserved, and yeah, I don't want to be on YouTube. I don't want to be on YouTube. So I was like, yeah, no, I'm not share my story on YouTube. I'm like, you know what? Maybe if someone invites me to their podcast, I could tell my story. But yeah, I'm not creating a YouTube channel. In the month of July, I'm just hoping and just praying and just believing that July is the month that I get a job because I no longer have the PUA anymore. So July 3rd, I do get an email from the county about the documents I had to sign, which were the magistrate court documents I had to sign. It was electronic signature. I was sent the email, and the business manager, Pepper, she was also sent the email as well. I signed off on everything. I think we that July 3rd was like a Friday. Was it a Friday or a Saturday? What it was like towards the weekend. So I remember saying, let me sign this off right now so that by Monday they can just like they can have everything and process it and I can get the funds by who knows, in the next 2 weeks or so. So I signed off all the documents. I'm like, okay, the only person who's left to sign is Pepper. Days go by, y'all. Pepper didn't sign the documents. And in my head, I said, you know what? If these people don't get their funds, they should not come to me and say, oh, Adriel, where's your rent? No, Pepper, you didn't sign. No one should come to me. Don't ask me for any money because you're not signing these documents. Eventually, she signed the documents July 12th, y'all. Why would you do that? That was what I was thinking in my head. Like, why would she do that? So she signed the documents July 12th, and I'm like, listen, if these funds come late, Pepper, it's on you. So now I'm just like, yo, she came late to the Zoom meeting. She's signing these papers late. I'm just like, something's not right. Something is not right. And later on, y'all, you gonna hear how wrong Pepper was. So she signed the documents July 12th, and yeah, July 15th, I get an email from the apartment complex to renew my lease. I'm looking at the email, I'm looking at the rates. You know, my rate went up. I think it went up by like $150, but I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna renew my lease. Now, at this time, the neighbors, I heard nothing from them. I didn't hear TV's noise. I didn't hear music. I didn't hear, because Sam would sing too. That was another thing. Sam would sing. I didn't hear anything from him. Didn't hear anything from Lisa. Now I'm nervous. I'm nervous. I'm looking through the window. I see their blinds are all the way up. I was like, yo, I probably may need to do a wellness check on them. But I was nervous. I said, you know what? Maybe they went on vacation again because it happened in June. They were gone for like 3 weeks and then they came back. Maybe they went on vacation again. So I said, you know what? Because it seems like things are dying down with the noise, I'm going to renew my lease. And at the same time, y'all, I had nowhere else to go. So I decided I was going to renew my lease. I think I ended up signing off on the renewal in August. I think so. Yeah, I think that was when I signed off on the renewal. But I did get the email on July 15th. July 15th was also the day where I got an email from, now a little backstory. When I was doing research of Brandon back in 2019, I was looking up like addresses, right? Because I wanted to know where he lived. Uh, I did address lookup, and because I did an address lookup back in 2019, I would get emails. Now here's the thing: I disregarded the emails because I didn't care. To be honest, I didn't even care where he lived anymore. Um, and plus, he moved. He moved to Mercury, so I didn't even care anymore. I go to my email. This was like my second inbox. I get an email from the website. We're gonna call this website Pink Book, right? So Pink Book had sent me an email July 15th about Brandon changing his address. Now, I thought that was weird because Brandon moved to Oklahoma January. Why am I getting an email that Brandon changed his address July 15? It didn't make sense. Now, mind you, I never paid attention to Pink Book's emails because, like I said, I checked on Brandon back in 2019, and that was it. That was like a one-time thing, and I forgot about it. So when I checked my second inbox and I saw the email that Brandon changed his address July 15, I started going through my inbox to see previous addresses or previous emails about Brandon changing addresses and numbers. Brandon had changed his address back in, what was it, December or something of 2020. So I was getting notifications that his address had changed, I think ending of December of 2020. Why am I getting a new email that he changed his address July 15, 2021? He's only been in Oklahoma at that point for like 7 months. So why is he changing his address again? That was the beginning of a whole new research that I was going to later on embark on when it came to Brandon and his living situation in Oklahoma. Okay, I just thought it was important for me to point that out. So that was what happened on July 15th. July 18th. July 18th, I get a phone call from, was it a phone call or a text? I believe it was a phone call. One of the two. I get contacted by Esther. She tells me that she asks me if I'm free anytime this week or just free for the next 2 weeks or so. And I said, yeah, what happened? She said, well, her roommate is looking for a model that she can do their hair. Um, she said her roommate has a YouTube channel. She said my roommate has a YouTube channel, and she wants to do someone's hair so that she can film for her YouTube channel. And she just said she wanted to know if I would be available. And she said, don't worry, the hair is going to be for free. And I was like, absolutely, yes, I am down. So I was like, hey, let me know when you want me to come through. And that was so interesting because here's the thing, y'all. I hadn't yet done my hair at all at that point. And I remember telling God that, oh my goodness, God, my birthday is coming up. Um, I just want to get my hair done. I'm tired of wearing wigs. I'm tired of wearing wigs. I'm tired of, rocking cornrows under the wigs. I'm just tired of that. I just want to get my hair done. It's been a long time since I got my hair done. I think the last time I got my hair done was 2020. So I'm like, yeah, I just want to get my hair done. So when she called me and told me that her roommate needed a hair model, I was like, oh my goodness, this is like an answered prayer. So I'm like, yeah, just let me know when you want me to come through, and definitely she can do my hair. Now let me step back a little bit. July 14. July 14 was the London webinar. I remember attending the webinar online, and as I'm attending the webinar, I remember just second guessing everything because I'm like, okay, Lord, is this where you really want me to be? Because I'm tired of putting in applications. I'm tired of being rejected. And it seemed like when it came to data science, I was learning from Coursera, but I just felt like I wasn't really applying it. So maybe I should just go back to school or get a certification, I don't know, enroll into like a boot camp. I didn't feel comfortable getting into data science because I hadn't yet gotten into data science. And I just didn't feel comfortable. And I remember just second guessing everything. But there was this part of me that was like, God still wants me to be at London. God still wants me to be at London. I'm like, okay, God, listen, if this is your will, let it be done. Let it be done. July 21st, that was my father's birthday. He would have been 63 in 2021. I remember just calling my family. We're just talking on the phone, and that day I try to occupy myself with other things because I'm like, ugh, this is my father's birthday. If he was alive, he would have been 63. We would have, you know, I would have been able to call him. But here's the thing, y'all. One of my old phones, I had his voicemail on it, and I think I played it that day, and I just go like, man, my father's no longer here, you know. But yeah, that day I just contacted my family and we spoke on the phone, and yeah. July 25th. July 25th was the day I got my hair done with Esther's roommate, and it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. I was super thankful and grateful. She got it done for me. She recorded it. She recorded it. Now, here was the thing with that. She recorded the process, and I remember after she was done with my hair, she was editing the video. Now, mind you, back then I didn't know anything about YouTube. The only thing I knew about YouTube was like watching videos. But when it came to editing, recording, putting music, I didn't know nothing. So I remember her telling me, like, hey, Adriel, it's going to take some time before I upload this video because the editing process is a while. And plus, she was working. She was working. She had her own life too. So she was like, I'm not going to upload it right away. Even there was a time where we were dancing. Me and Esther were dancing in the apartment. She recorded us. She was like, Adriel, I'm going to put that in the intro. But she did say that it was going to take some time for her to upload the video. Now, I was her second hair model. Her first hair model was Esther. I was her second hair model. I watched the video that she had of Esther, and so I was anticipating for when she was gonna put the video that she had of me. But she did tell me it was gonna take some time, and I should just give her some time and stuff like that. But I was very happy with my hair. I was very happy with the process, and I was very glad that I got it for free. July 27th. So I talked about this in the previous episode how Brandon put out a tweet July 27, 2020, and the tweet was, this time next year, watch. I forgot to mention my thought about that tweet. When he had that tweet up on his page, I remember thinking to myself, is that when I'm going to meet Brandon? July 27, 2021? Is that when I'm going to meet him? Is that when we going to get engaged? Like, my mind was going in places back in 2020. Now, fast forward, I found out that he reconnected with Caitlin and he moved to Oklahoma. But I remember being in my apartment that month of July, just thinking about July 27, 2021. I'm like, hey, what if something actually does happen? Now, I'm not talking about me and Brandon actually meeting. Actually, no, I did think. I did think. I ain't gonna lie. I did think that me and Brandon were gonna meet July 27, 2021. So so I remember thinking, okay, if that's the case, that means he already left Oklahoma. Y'all, I had gotten my hair done on the 25th. I'm like, listen, Brandon is gonna pop up to Hidden Valley. He is going to apply for an apartment and I'm gonna run into him. That was what I was thinking, y'all. And I will say this too. I want to say this sidebar. When you come into agreement with God's will, and God's will is something that doesn't make sense to you. It doesn't make sense to you. It doesn't make sense to the ordinary person. It doesn't make sense to you, period. It doesn't make sense to any human being, right? When you come into God's when you come into agreement with what God is doing in your life and it doesn't make sense, you have to have some type of delusional thing going on. Like you have to be some type of, I don't want to say crazy, but you gotta have some type of delusion going on, right? So because I came into agreement with God's will, now mind you, I questioned God's will for like 8 months until I came into agreement with it. But once I came into agreement with it, I'm thinking God is going to do some other crazy stuff. So I start, kind of doing, kind of believing things that he kind of hadn't yet said to me. So July 27, y'all, I really thought I was going to meet Brandon. I had gotten my hair done on the 25th. I'm like, ooh, 27, I'm meeting him. So I prepared to leave my apartment, y'all. July 27, the morning of, I had my period, y'all. My period came that day. And not only did it come, y'all, it was super painful. And that was something that was happening throughout 2021. My periods were so intense. I had never gone through that in previous years. Like I felt like I remember there was one time I felt like I remember telling myself that, oh, I'm in labor. I'm like, for me to feel these type of pains, I have to be in labor. I remember I was only sleeping on the floor. Yeah, those first 3 days of my period, I was only staying on the floor. I couldn't stay in my bed. It was so intense. Yeah, I was just staying on the floor. So my period came that morning. I still said to myself, oh no, I'm still going out. I'm still going out. No, no, no. I'm going out because I'm going to meet Brandon. It started raining in the afternoon. I was like, okay, nah, this I ain't meeting him today. I am not meeting him today. So I'm on the floor, rolling, rolling. I'm in so much pain. I'm like, this July 27, 2021 has to mean something. Like it really does have to mean something. So I decided, I took it upon myself that I wasn't gonna go on social media, y'all. I was firm on that. I wasn't gonna go on Instagram. I wasn't gonna go on Twitter to check him. I wasn't going to go on Instagram to check him. I wasn't going to do none of that. But I decided to go to Pink Book and search Brandon up. I searched him up and I saw his addresses. The last address he had was an Oklahoma address. Now, mind you, I'm in so much pain, and at the same time, I'm having the phone in my hand. Once I saw the Oklahoma address as his current address, I just exit out. So in my head, I'm like, ooh, I think he's still in Oklahoma. I think he's still in Oklahoma. Let me not think. Yeah, like I believe he's still in Oklahoma. So I'm like, yeah, this whole July 27, me meeting him at Hidden Valley, yeah, it wasn't gonna happen. He's still in Oklahoma. And as far as the whole searching thing was concerned, I told myself I don't want to get caught up in searching him to the point where I'm like, you know what, let me just go on Instagram and search him. No, 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 no. Yeah, I was staying far away from Instagram. Um, my Twitter, I still would go on Twitter, but I would not check on him or Caitlyn at all. But I remember just telling myself, I don't want to get caught up in this whole thing of I need to search him because I don't know what's going on. Because to be honest, y'all, I really wanted him to be back in Atlanta. I was praying for him to be back, not even just be back in Atlanta, but I was praying for his mind. I was praying for his heart. I was praying for his heart in particular because I knew that he was gonna find out that Caitlyn wasn't who she said she was. But most importantly, he was gonna find out that Lily wasn't his child. And I didn't want him to be heartbroken. Yeah, there was also one thing I forgot to mention, y'all. I just remembered. I'm gonna make that a separate video because right now I'm at 26 minutes. So yeah, there was one thing I forgot to mention that happened to me in 2020 and 2021, and I'm gonna do a separate video on that and finish the month of July. So yeah, if you're liking and unlikely story, please like, comment, subscribe, share my videos. Also, please click the notification bell as well. And until next time, y'all. Bye.